Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the all gracious, the all merciful. Hello to you all dear viewers. I hope that this series of the discussions that we have in regard with the issue of the techniques of the communication and the, as a matter of fact, the propagation would be beneficial for you. And if you remember, we talked about different techniques of propagation in the former discussions and former sessions. Today we will continue with other techniques which are very important to know about. One of the techniques which is used by the we can say the media propagandists, which of course is not that much prescribable in our texts, but we can be benefited from some aspects of that, is the name-calling technique. Propagandists use this name-calling technique to incite fears and arouse prejudices in their hearers, in the intent that the bad names will cause hearers to construct a negative opinion about a group or a set of beliefs or ideas that the propagandists would wish hearers to denounce. The method is intended to provoke conclusions about the matter apart from impartial, for example, examinations of facts. Sometimes, especially in the presidential campaigns, in the disputes, in the debates, one of the techniques which is used is the name calling. In this way, when you are using this technique, you label the audience. It is very similar to the concept, to the technique of labeling. Label the audience with a name that person cannot come out of that name and cannot justify, or it will take for him a time to justify that. And via this technique, you will put the addressee in a way, or that group or a sect, or for example, in a kind of a spiral of silence. It means that, for example, you come and say that this denomination of this religion is so fantasy religion, for example. This other religion is talking about just, bad points, negative points. This religion is the religion of war. This religion is the religion of just love and affection. Of course, talking about the good points is not among this technique. We are talking about name calling, which means using bad names, negative names, to the addressee, to one group, to the, for example, a denomination or to a religion. When you talk about a thing which is not the reality of that, this technique is not prescribed, and this is not good, and this is not fair, because maybe you call the audience in a way or in a name that it is absolutely wrong, okay? And it is very insulting, and it is bothering, and it is really make the people feel down, and this is not good, okay? But in debates and disputes and campaigns, unfortunately, these are used. For example, in the presidential election, you call the counterpart, your rival, okay? You say that, that person is so money lover person, okay? He is so material person. He's just talking and thinking about material points, not about, ethical, spiritual, religious, and etc. Okay? although maybe you are true, maybe you are talking about the realities, but in public, when you talk about this point, okay, you make that person, like in a boxing rooms, you put the person on the corner and start boxing and kicking the person, and he cannot defend himself. Okay, so in this way, you put the person in a corner and say that you are this, you are that. And maybe you are true, but we are not allowed to tell all the truth and all the things which are true in the public. Okay? We must not lie, but we are not also allowed to tell all the truth. Okay? It is very different from the technique of disinformation. Disinformation technique was used to just deliberately disinform the people or delete the parts of the truth that people cannot understand. No, here we say that there are some truths which are although truths, but they are negative points. For example, that person for example, is not having a neat appearance, is not always clean, for example. Although it is reality, or it doesn't use any perfumes, okay? It is true. However, you are not allowed to say that. You have to tell him or tell her in private that, please, my friend, I suggest you, for example, to do this and that. But name calling really would harm the dignity of the person, would harm the nature, would harm the respect and esteem, self-esteem of the person. So it is not prescribed at all. However, just in one place, maybe we can use this technique in our disputes with the people who are people which are called in Arabic term the very prejudicial people. Okay, they don't use their mind at all. Just they look at the things which are apparent. Okay, in that place, when the person is just using the technique of name calling on you, you can in return use. For example, you are talking with some. Just this is an example. Just some fundamentalist, okay, radicalist, okay. You are talking about radical extremist, radical or fundamental religious group, and he's constantly talking that you are, for example, wrong. You are, don't believing in our prophet. It is a kind of name calling. Okay, how you can say that, for example, the Shia are not believing in Prophet Muhammad? This is because of the propaganda. This is because of the wrong propaganda of those fundamentalists, those radicalists. For example, they come and say about Jesus the Christ. Who says he was? For example, they say who says that Christianity is a religion or Judaism is a religion? There was no prophet, or there is no God, for example. Not only prophets, there is no God. Because the nature is God. For example, God forbid. These are the things that are called, and it takes time to explain to the people that, for example, this is wrong. When a person comes and said that God does not exist, God is dead. Na'udhu billah. For example, God is dead. How you can justify? Or you would say, a group of person comes and say that you believe, for example, one of the person as your God. Okay? Just this point, you believe this person as your God. You do not believe in God, the Almighty. Okay, this is a kind of name calling, and this is a kind of using a technique that put you on the corner and make the people and audience believe you that you really do this. Nowadays, they come and say, for example, Muslims are terrorists, for example. I asked them that who was really the real reason or behind the world wars. They were Muslims. Look at the history of the religion. There have been hundreds, if not thousands, of civil wars among different denominations of religions. Were they were Muslims? Okay. So how you would say this point? Because by using this name calling, okay, it is a kind of, also it is very similar also to the big lie. You know, the name calling, it is like a triangle and different angle of one triangle. If we put the big lie on the top, big lie, we can put the labeling and name calling at the other angles of one triangle. This triangle makes really a package of three techniques which this is used just to kind of insult or to make the person to feel bad, you know, or a group to feel bad. You come and say that, for example, one religion is terrorist religion, okay? It is labeling, at the same time it is name calling, and it is, at the same time it is a big lie. If you remember, I talked profoundly about the technique of big lie. Big lie, you say a big lie, and it takes sometimes hundreds of years that the followers of that group comes and proves that that big lie is not, for example, true about us. So these techniques are used in different occasions and are used in different conditions. And if we are not vigilant of the purposes behind these things, we will be defeated. If we want to be successful, if we want to always win the debates and the discussions, of course, at the primary step, we prescribe that in all discussions, as in Quran mentions that talk to the people in the good polemics, in good rhetorics, always talk in a very good way of speech, not by insulting, not by, for example, making the people feel bad about you, okay? However, okay, we don't prescribe, but if you want to be always ready to respond, go and study about the things that always this group are using, the words these groups are using. Those who want to always attack to the audience, to the counterpart, they are not using their reasonability, they are not using the philosophy, they are not using their mind, that's just they are using their what they see, or sometimes deliberately, purposefully, just they want to annihilate the idea of the counterpart. If you want to be the winner, you have to know these techniques and be ready and always get ready that if this technique is used, you use the counter action, counter technique, and the best counter technique is the technique the person is using himself. Okay? If he's using labeling, if you think, you have to think about, if that technique is used to insult you in the public, okay, you have to use a labeling which is not, of course, a lie, which is not a kind of insultation, which is not jeopardizing the dignity of the person. So this was another technique that, or today we introduced a triangle of three techniques of labeling, big lie, and as a matter of fact, calling bad names or name callings. I hope that you have been benefited from this discussion, and if you want to be a really good propagator, you have to know these techniques and you have to think about them, and find the solutions and resolutions out of the techniques. Until next program, wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh.